Happy Monday. I hope you all are having a good evening. I had this interesting thing happen to me. I think it was the week before last. It might have been last week. It's been a busy one. And I thought I would chat to you about it a little bit because it brought up a topic that I thought was relevant. So I was in the gym and in the bathroom in the gym in the locker rooms. And this girl, it was last week because I was doing the shoot. So there was this girl right next to me in the bathroom stall, and she started throwing up really bad, like really protrusive, I don't know if that's a word, projectile vomiting. And it was off-putting, but I was more worried about her than about myself. And when I went out, I saw someone in the locker room area, and I actually approached her and I said, "Hey, was that you in the stall?" Because I did actually say something in the stall. I said, "Oh, are you okay?" And she made some comment like, "Yes, I'm okay." I'm like, "Okay." But when I saw her out there, I wanted to approach her and make sure, because I was worried, if she's that sick, is she going to be okay? Is she going to drive herself home? I mean, it was evening time around that time. And so she turned around, she's like, "Yeah, that was me." And I said, do you have the stomach flu? She's like, "No, I just have some stomach problems." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "I just wanted to make sure you were going to get home safely." She's like, "Yeah, I'll be fine. I'm like, "Okay, well, just, take care of yourself." And she kind of gave me this like really embarrassed look, and she sort of, looked down and gazed at the floor. And I don't know what it was. Like, I have no idea what the situation was. But I chose to say something because I was more worried about her safety, going forward than about embarrassing her. And I think this brings up a relevant point because we've been talking lately about how to deliver criticism or, how to come across with advice. And this happens all the time where I get this feedback from women like, "Oh, you need to be really delicate and gentle, and you have to be compassionate and hold their hands and be their best friend." I disagree with that approach, but I'm obviously a very empathic and caring person, so I'm not saying don't be caring. It's just women need to stop trying to make help only come in that form, because oftentimes it requires us not to be the bad guy, but to be in an awkward, uncomfortable position in order to actually help people properly. So I think I posted something about honey is... I forget the saying, but honey is better than vinegar to whatever, like the kill them with kindness sort of attitude. And I had this conversation with somebody on Facebook who was criticizing and offering feedback on my posts. And so she said, "Well, you have to be careful because," sorry, I'm trying to block. Okay, there we go. She was saying you have to be careful how you word these things because it might not be helpful to people because it comes across as too harsh, like vinegar. So I told her, I said, I understand what you're trying to say, but ultimately an overdose on sugar can kill you too, just trying to be cute. But the point is, you're basically enabling people. And in this case, if I was trying to avoid this girl not feeling embarrassed, I would have not said anything at all. But maybe she thought twice about whatever was going on. Like if it was something that was self-induced, I don't know, I'm just saying, then maybe she would think, okay, well, people do care and people do notice. And I have to actually think about that before I put myself through certain things or whatever. I have no idea. It could be a lot of different things. But it's this sort of idea that we don't call people out on stuff. And it's not about pointing fingers and making them feel bad, but we should be able to communicate that we notice things or that things are uncomfortable or that, maybe things aren't being dealt with very well. And so, I can't concentrate so much with all these people, so I'm trying to block them. So I think it's important for us as women to be able to get involved, say something, try to help if you want to, and not worry so much as to how it comes off, right? So it doesn't have to be pretty and, sweet and kind and gentle all the time. Like sometimes we can just say something, say, "Are you okay? Everything fine?" Or if you're, giving advice, you can just say advice. And if the person is sensitive and they can't handle being in the spotlight or being uncomfortably noticed, or, criticized or given feedback or whatever the case may be, that's on them. And you can, sort of invite them to talk to you, and you're there, and it's okay. Like, you're not going to write them off as a human being because they made a mistake. But if it makes them feel bad, maybe that's not so bad. Maybe it's going to be good and actually help them. So I see this a lot where, it's more masculine to sort of give this harsher, tough love advice, and it's more feminine to hold hands and pretend like you're best friends or you're mothering. Thank you. I appreciate that. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can be both compassionate and yet direct, and not afraid of how you're going to come off. Because, I guess for the parents, you have to separate the behavior from the child, right? So it's the same thing even in relationships. Like, you have to separate whatever mistakes your partner may, obviously reasonable mistakes, but little things that might happen from the actual person and the behavior. And so, don't be so afraid. If your approach is to be really, really sweet and coddling, and I saw this too, because, the Instagram accounts and the sort of social media accounts that are very spiritual all the time, and it's all about, just, accept everything the way that it is, and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, if that works for you, great. But I think a lot of that, and I was caught up in that stuff, maybe 5 years ago or so, when I needed it, because I was in a really sort of low place. I was struggling with, lots of crying spells and feeling like, man, I really messed things up. How did I get to this place? And I read a lot of that, and it sort of, jolted me out of that. I'm like, I can do this. So there's a time and a place for that. And I think, obviously, if you're speaking on general social media, you're not speaking directly to someone, and that's you right now. Well, maybe you need a little bit of that cajoling, you need that comfort and that softness, and that's okay. But, don't get stuck in that, because you won't end up growing. We want you and everybody else who's in that position to feel like there's a chance, like you're loved, you're not written off, right? So as long as you know that you can keep going and there's always hope, then what are you going to do about it? So it's the what now that I try to deal with. And so sometimes it might come across as maybe too direct or critical, but really it's not. It's just getting involved, getting to the work, sort of simplifying the process. Thanks. I come up with a lot of words. So that's just my 2 cents today. I just thought it was an interesting story, and I really have no idea what she could have had gastric bypass surgery, and that was sort of a side effect of it. But she was like, oh yeah, I just worked out, and after I wasn't feeling well, but she was really vomiting. And I just knew that most people would just be like, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I'm not going to say anything. And I don't like that about us, humans in this day and age where we're so insular and we don't say anything. I think that's sort of the residue of the good old days when you used to, sort of be involved in your neighbors and the people that you would go to school with or that you went to the gym with. You would get, a little bit involved and say hi and talk to them. Now, you don't want to get so involved that you have no privacy, but especially when something outside of the norm and significant happens, I think that is definitely an opportunity. You can be invited to say something and try to help that way. So any comments or questions? I'm happy to answer a few right now. I'm actually waiting for my video to upload, and it's taking forever. I don't know why mine takes so long. It's even on my new laptop. But the new video is specific to the Date Smarter, Not Harder series. I was just going to say thank you for going live for us. You're welcome. I'm trying really hard to do it consistently. The problem is, as I posted earlier, I really like solitude and silence for when I do creative stuff or lives or producing videos. And, I absolutely love being around Dennis all the time. But for my creative mind to work, I really need the solitude. Even if he's in here and working, it's not It's not what I need. It doesn't really help me flow. So I kind of kicked him out and anyway, he went to the gym. So my doctorate is in marriage, couples, and family therapy. If you were wondering, but if you want, just go on my website. You can go to ideallovelife.com and you can read a little bit of information on me there. I've got a LinkedIn page. If you've got a LinkedIn account, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's all in my profile and Twitter. It should be anyway, the YouTube channel and the subscribe button to get onto my newsletter. Very cool. Yes, licensed counselor. I was a licensed mental health counselor, licensed marriage and family therapist for 14 years. I just retired last year, and I'm working now as an independent life, relationship, dating expert, just on my own. So yeah, anyway, those were a few good questions. If you have any more, feel free to put them down below in the comments, and I will definitely try to work on my timing so that I can give you more video content on a weekly basis. That's right. I retired so that I could work for myself. Didn't want to have to be in the healthcare profession anymore, so I am working independently. What do you suggest for someone who feels stagnant in life? I would suggest that if you're just generally stagnant, that you've got to do a couple of things to maybe stimulate some change. Thank you. There's a video that I have on my YouTube channel about 5 things that you can do to find yourself. That might be a way in. So if you want, just go ahead and take a look at that. It's easy to find my channel. It's youtube.com/Dr. Taylor Burrows, so Dr. Taylor Burrows. And if you have any more questions that are specific and in follow-up to that, I can see if I can be more helpful. But yeah, there's lots of content on there. So I love talking to people in the profession, mental health and adjunct professions. And some people choose to stay in it, but I think a lot of people, and I posted about this recently as well. Oh, you're welcome. A lot of people in the counseling field, especially, not necessarily psychologists, because they're more clinical. They have to do like assessment measures and stuff like that. But counselors who are just talk therapists, psychotherapists, we don't really need licenses in order to do what we do to help people. We just have to, work as a consultant and be independent and figure out business stuff. So I just got a new accountant, or not a new one, I've never had one. And, got to pay them a little bit, but then, everything will get sorted, and I'm really excited. I feel like, the business is growing as I'm developing my messaging, and my client roster is quite small. But if you are interested in working with me, specifically, it doesn't have to be on relationships, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship and you need to kind of refine it and work on a few things, or if it's just general life stuff. Because of those licenses and that experience as a mental health professional, thank you. I'm very well versed on helping people on general life things. So you can ask for the free 15-minute discovery call, and we can get a lot done in that time, but we can also see if we're the right fit to work together going forward. But no obligation to buy anything, buy any time or whatnot. Just the 15 minutes is fine. And I will talk to you soon. I just explained that, so if you want, you can rewind. Not a medical doctor. I have a PhD. Ciao.